Monday, and it's great to say that again. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter and Threads at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at the Dan Urban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify,
Everywhere
Apple,
else. Yeah.
everywhere.
Make sure you subscribe though. Don't just pretend. Like,
We're also
really do it.
we're also more active on Instagram, and we're also going to be talking about judging in MMA. What a shocker! So make sure you've read that criteria.
Yeah, please do. It won't take you long. I promise. Should we wait 3.5 minutes for them to read it? Let's just maybe get into it.
Well, me and you just had this conversation. I mean, 3.5 maybe a little long, a little short. I mean,
That's true.
I mean, we were just talking about the SATs.
We were talking about the SATs, which we took 20 years ago, and how both Dan and I didn't think we had enough time to read them because, at least me, in my case, I'm just a slow reader, which I think makes me a good copy editor because I will end up looking, with a fine-tooth comb for mistakes like that one.
Yeah, the thing is, I forget what I read, so I read it 3 or 4 times, and then I go, wait, what did they just say? And then I read it again.
Yeah, that's
if I'm not interested in the subject.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you're into it, I'm sure. Like, every time you read, something I wrote, I'm sure you're riveted.
Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of what I wrote, I just wrote about this guy Alexander Volkanovski. You heard of him?
I did, and I meant to read it. I meant to read it. I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, no, that's okay.
But
I was really just trying to segue in. But what I was saying, he's an up and comer. I think he's on the rise.
Up and coming goat.
And I actually kind of mean that right in this case because, like, I'm joking, but like I think he's getting better in the last 4 years. Like he's finishing guys now. Granted, he couldn't finish Max Holloway, but no one does. So there's that. But like he's showing that I think he's more of a finisher than I think people thought he might have been in these last few fights.
I think I have a similarity here.
What do you got?
Like almost like an opposite to GSP.
An opposite to GSP. Okay.
I just wanted to check his early work when he first came to the UFC. If he was just a decision machine or if he was getting finishes.
And guys, this is the opportunity. Go find that page, the criteria, and read that. We'll be silent for you for a little bit.
Okay.
No, we're not going to do that.
Maybe like opposite GSP a little bit, where GSP was a killer in the beginning, and then he kind of just was a decision machine afterwards.
I don't know that Volk.
And then maybe Volk is kind of becoming more of an animal in attack and going for the finishes now.
I wonder if he's just because I think he came to MMA with at least some athleticism and strength to kind of carry him there, because obviously he was an athlete. He played rugby or Aussie rules, I believe. Was it rugby or Aussie rules?
I thought it was rugby. It looked like rugby on TV.
I think it was rugby. But yeah, he came into MMA with a lot of that. So I wonder if maybe it just took him a little more time to kind of sharpen the tool. I mean, which is crazy because he got very sharp with a lot of them very quickly. But yeah, whatever the reason, I'm just speculating here. Whatever the reason, he is just even more of a monster than I think he was before. And that only makes me think that 6 title defenses in, he's actually got it in him that he might challenge Jose Aldo for some of those records. Jose Aldo won 8 featherweight title fights in the UFC. He won 3 in the WEC. Volkanovski's now won 6 title fights in a row at his division, 145, which now he's 16-0 at, by the way.
5 defenses.
He's 16-0 as a featherweight. That's his division.
Yeah,
that's where that's the one you can't touch him in. I do think absolutely he is better than what he was 4 years ago. And I don't think that's necessarily the case with most champions. And most champions don't make it to year 4 realistically. So this is impressive. He's really close to joining a short list. If he makes it to December and he's still the champ, that's 4 years. The list is so exceptionally short of guys who've done that. Been the champion, been the guy in one weight class in all of MMA. Forget just UFC. All of MMA over a 4-year period. It just doesn't happen that often. It's a very rare accomplishment.
Yeah, John Jones territory.
Mm-hmm. Now he's saying John Jones was one of them. Yeah, I'll give you real quick. Fedor, GSP, Silva, Aldo,
and John Jones.
I'm just talking about the men's side here too, for the record, because really Cyborg has been the champion for or the best at 45 for a long time. Now, granted, she lost to Nunes, but if you want to go before that, there's still a lot of years. Anyway, I think there's one more that's escaping me right now, but the list is exceptionally short is what I'm trying to illustrate.
Yeah, very short.
As far as what's next for this guy, and it sounds like he kind of wants to get back in there one more time this year, even with the surgery he's saying
he was supposed to be in there 2 more times.
What's
but
that?
He was supposed to be in there 2 more times. His goal. but it doesn't seem like that's happening.
Well, once it had to wait until July, that got kind of tough, right?
Yeah.
If he got back in there maybe a month before, it starts to look a little more feasible. But even at that, if he needs surgery, then, no matter how small the surgery is, it's probably still going to take a little time. Either way, he seems like he wants to get the surgery quick and definitely get back in there one more time this year, which has to be music to your ears. 3 times is still 3 times.
3's good.
Even if one of them was in another weight class, right?
4's better, but 3's good.
4 hasn't happened. You're going to have to settle for 3. Which one would you want, though? If you could choose which of these options for him is next, because he's got basically these are the 2. Islam Makhachev rematch, and it would be in October. It sounds like hell or high water. It's going to be Makhachev defending against somebody in Abu Dhabi. That sounds like there's some partnerships in Abu Dhabi, and that's kind of what they want. That's one option. The other option would be Ilia Topuria sometime near the end of the year. Could be October, could be November, could be December. Who knows? Which of those 2 interests you more?
I'd rather him fight Ilia.
Me too.
Topuria.
Me too. I like the fight a lot more. It's not that I don't like the idea of him fighting Makhachev again. It was a competitive enough fight that you say, okay, hey, maybe he's got a chance, but also, I just want to see that Ilia fight. I think Ilia has done enough to put himself in the right spot. I think they're going to create a little bit of heat. Maybe not in such a does cringe even touch what we're going to talk about a little later when it comes to Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya?
Maybe, but here's the thing: when Ilia didn't seem bothered, like when
no, certainly not.
Volk was like, "Yeah, I'll smash him too," and Ilia's like, "Yeah, okay."
They're both very confident guys, but I think it's going to be one of those things where it's not going to get like embarrassing. I think it's just going to be these are kind of alpha personalities,
Yeah,
and then just that I'm okay with. Like I'm okay with that kind of build up, that kind of thing. That can be fun, but like sometimes it steps over the line into like. Cringe doesn't cut it. What we saw again, we'll talk about that a little later. But yeah, I'm with you. I want the Topuria fight. I hope that happens. I'm gonna say if it does happen, my guess would be December.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
I just have a feeling, that we already know we're gonna. Dana has said that we're gonna get Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic in November in Madison Square Garden. I imagine they feel like, yeah, we're probably good with that one. We don't need to put another title fight there, or at least that one.
They should be. They should be putting Islam there for Jim Miller.
I think if Jim Miller was willing to fly out and fight that day in Abu Dhabi, maybe they'll do it. Who knows? They just got to get somebody who wants it. Sounds like Charles Oliveira doesn't want to fight that day.
Anytime Islam is defending the belt, if Jim's not the opponent, Jim should be the backup until Jim calls it quits.
I'm sure he appreciates. But yeah, so that's definitely where our hearts are. Let's move on though, because there is of course another title fight that we had, and as much as Volkanovski was impressive by himself, this whole fight was fantastic. Is this a fight of the night, fight of the year contender at this point, or maybe front runner Alexandre Pantoja beating Brandon Roy? Oh, excuse me, not Brandon Royval, Brandon Moreno.
This is the front runner. This is the 5-round fight of the year.
Okay.
And I think
is there a 3-round fight of the year, or the one
possibly
earlier?
the one we saw earlier in the night between Hooker and Turner.
And we'll be talking about both of them in contested rounds, and only both of those in contested rounds. So yes, stand pat for that one. But yeah, so Pantoja now he's the winner. Obviously fantastic fight, amazing fight. Definitely, if it's not the number one, it probably means that we got an even better one down the stretch. So that's pretty great.
Be insane.
That would be fantastic.
I mean, this just proves it that how much more fun flyweights are than heavyweights. It's
there. I'm not even going to name check this person, but there is a certain personality who likes to interact on Twitter, especially about flyweights and how he wants the division eliminated even now. And I just can't wrap my head around this. Why are we against this?
Just sinking their teeth, their heels in now.
I feel like, yeah, this is just like, I'm going to die with this ship.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've decided this is the hill I'm going to die on. And in fact, I know I'm about to die, but I'm still defending.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't even like a hypothetical scenario. This is like about as close as you get to he's not going to die, but either way, just an awful take that we should ever do anything other than celebrate and expand the visibility of flyweight fights. But here's the question I would have off of this fight, and our new champion Alexandre Pantoja, who is now 3-0 against Brandon Moreno.
First 2 don't count,
first 2 don't count.
But technically, he is 3-0 against him.
First 1 doesn't count. First 1 was on the show. The other one was actually like
right.
a fight.
It technically counts, but it doesn't count. It's basically 1-0.
Why don't hold on? I'm
because it was so long ago. They're totally different fighters now. It's 2 different people. It's like it didn't even happen. Forget about it.
I'm not with that. No, I'm not okay with
It's
that.
over. It's like 2018 they fought.
Yeah, I'm not with that, though.
It's over. They're different fighters. When you say, oh, you can't get a fourth immediate rematch because he's already beat him 3 times, it's stupid.
See, no, I understand what you're saying, especially because that first one was on the show. Like that, whatever, that's fine. But the question would be, would you accept an immediate rematch here between the two of them, or is Brandon Royval, your guy, the absolute next challenger?
I'd love for Royval to come in and take the strap. Would love if he can somehow harness his aggressiveness, not expose his back again on a wild missed punch, and get choked. He does that often. I would be totally fine if they did this immediate rematch. Also, I tweeted right after this. I said, just match them up right again, run it back, and put it in November, and that's how you may secure a ticket purchase from me. If this fight was on that. I mean,
wait, which one? The rematch or Royval?
Either one. They put
if
this
the
fight
flyweight strap is on the line
in MSG,
and it's one of those two guys especially, or does it even not matter? Like, are you pretty much okay? Like Davis and Figueiredo or something?
No, it has to be Pantoja Royval or Pantoja Moreno.
As long as their name is Brandon.
As long as they're...
If it's a Brandon, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I may pay $500 to get in the door for that.
For that, not the heavyweights. I like that.
Well, no, John Jones, obviously.
Okay.
If
it was just the flyweights.
No.
Okay. Just checking. I'm just trying to figure out where the bar is.
It's got to be both.
That's fine. I respect that.
And Connor, maybe too. Like, that would definitely just be like, okay, I'll buy it.
Well, the price won't be $500.
Minimum. That might be just put me in the nosebleeds.
I don't know if 500 will get you in the door. If you get John Jones and Conor McGregor on the same card,
yeah,
which is a fantasy, by the way. I don't see that actually.
Can you imagine that fight
being a reasonable price? What?
Them two yelling at each other. No, I'm the main event. I'm the main event. No, I'm the main event.
I don't think John Jones would fight. I think he would back out.
Yeah, he'd say, all right, that's your card.
He'd take his ball, go home. But to be fair,
on him.
So would Conor McGregor.
Yeah, they're never going to be on the same card.
No. And why would they? Why would you waste those two guys unless your goal was like, let's just set the record?
Dustin and Justin, put them together too, and then I'll buy it also.
Okay. All right, we're getting real sidetracked here. Let's go over to the middleweights then, and like I alluded to, Dricus du Plessis got a win most people did not see coming over Robert Whittaker. I mean, I talked to people in private that like wrote off the idea of this even being like good matchmaking, as far as like, are they in the same realm of being put together, du Plessis and Robert Whittaker? And yeah, I didn't even put it pre-fight anywhere close to what happened with Sean Strickland and Abus Magomedov, because that was two guys that were not supposed to fight each other from a rankings perspective. That's like old school UFC before they actually had rankings, and they could just get away with that stuff because most people didn't really know. Now people can kind of tell where people are, and like realistically,
Anderson Silva versus James Irvin.
Well, that was a little different. That was just like, hey, we need a body to go against Affliction, right? It was Affliction.
No, that was UFC.
No. But they built that card like out of nowhere to go up against and counter program Affliction, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they wanted to give everybody a free card because it was a pay-per-view from Affliction, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Which, by the way, I was looking, like, I've been doing a little research on past MMA events, UFC, some other promotions. I'm still digging deep into this. I'm trying to come up with like a system of rating these events, right? The rating would be based absolutely and purely on the number of like ranked fighters and good matchups and that kind of thing. So this doesn't account for like the hype train that Brock Lesnar brought in, all that kind of stuff. There's a human element that this will not account for. But the Affliction pay-per-view cards, including the one that got canceled and killed them, those are 3 of the like better pay-per-views that happened or would have happened during the Spike era.
Wow.
In terms of quality fighter. Really impressive stuff. They paid way too much money and then they blew out their gas tank. But it was dude, if you bought those pay-per-views, like, you got your money's worth. It was legit. But that was like before I was really watching, so. But anyway, we're getting way off topic once again. Du Plessis absolutely stunned everybody else, right? And again, I wasn't stunned, but I was like, that's impressive. I didn't think he would win. But at least he made sense as an opponent for sure. So the question again, are we happy that we got a clear next middleweight contender or middleweight challenger, which I think we do, right? This is the fight. This is the only fight.
I mean, I guess since the UFC has decided to throw Merritt out the window because it should be Bo that should be next. But since that's not happening, I'm glad we don't have to hold up any hold up involving Strickland or Whitaker.
It definitely shouldn't be Strickland. I'm absolutely like against that one. Duplessis is just on a roll. Strickland's like 2-2 in his last 4 fights.
You know, I'm glad that we got these. They already made the matchup.
Yeah.
Fine.
But are you happy that we got that, or are you sad that the build-up for this is going to be terrible?
No, I thought we were going to get Bo.
Okay.
But whatever.
You are always throwing a wild card in there. I can't even go with these. All right, I'll answer my own question, and I'll do it seriously. I am absolutely not looking forward to the build-up of this. It's going to be terrible.
No, I actually do like the build-up.
No, this is going to be awful.
I love these types of build-ups. It's what makes it interesting for me, because it's not an act. They're quite serious behind it, even if it comes off cringe, as you say.
Do you think that Israel is absolutely just being honest, or is he playing things up in a way that he thinks people will like?
No, I don't think. I think he actually doesn't like Dricus Duplessis.
No, I don't doubt that. But like, is he heightening this to like a higher degree?
The problem is it's a one-sided way, because Dricus isn't playing into it.
No,
and that's the problem. Dricus needs to man up and go back at him.
Well, what it is I think Dricus is just a little more like even keeled. It seems like.
Yeah, I wish he wasn't. Wish he'd just make.
But he's gonna say some. Oh, they're both gonna say some. Just oh god,
I can't wait.
I'm gonna smack my head against it. Well, good for you. I'm glad you'll enjoy it. So basically, what it is, I lean the latter, you lean the former, where you are more happy that we got the clear challenger.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Agree to disagree, my friend. Last one before we get into our rounds and all that. Robbie Lawler. We got to touch on this, right? Great way to go out. Amazing way to go out. Amazing. Like this is what everybody was hoping and praying would happen all the other times.
Mm-hmm.
Guys would come out for their last fight, and then you had like Shogun just look terrible, and Carlos Condit, like I think he won his final fight if I'm not mistaken, but like it was just a fight, you know. It was whatever.
Oh, I don't think Robbie's ever been washed. I really
No,
think
he's not washed.
I really think that, stop sparring in training camp really prolonged him.
Probably. I think a lot of people would get prolonged that way too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could still go.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nico Price is not going to be knocking on the door of the rankings, but he's a good fighter.
Yeah.
And he got just smashed. Absolutely smashed. It was amazing.
Really good knockout.
So here's 2 questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite fight of Robbie Lawler's all time?
So I have, when I hear Robbie Lawler, I have 2 distinct memories that always pop into my head.
Okay.
1, Nick Diaz knocking him out.
Sure.
And 2, him smashing Rory McDonald with a split lip and just yelling. So yeah, my favorite fight is Rory Mac too.
As is mine, and I watched that with you, incidentally.
Yeah, that's my favorite fight.
That was a fantastic fight. Now, the number 2 question: fighter you wished that he got to face during his career but did not.
I really wish Hendricks didn't retire GSP. Because I think it would have been Robbie GSP. I don't remember exactly the build-up, but I know Robbie and Hendricks fought for the interim.
Yes.
After GSP relinquished it. So Robbie versus GSP.
They actually fought 2 times, by the way.
Yeah, Robbie versus GSP would have been pretty awesome.
2 times, I should note, in the same year. But Robbie took 2 fights in between them. There's your 4-fight guy.
Oh, yeah, but he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Also, Nate Diaz would have been cool.
Sure.
And Connor even would have been great.
Connor would have been fun. Did you hear they said... I guess Connor had tweeted something last night, as he's wanted to do, right? He said, I don't think he's done. I think he'll be back later this year. And so they asked Robbie about it at the post-fight presser, and he goes, "Why does he want to fight?" he's like, is he interested? It sounded like he'd come back for that kind of fight, but like he knows he's not gonna try to do that.
It was Sheehan even say he always says it, but he said, "I can't wait for." His announcement in 3 months.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next one, right? It wouldn't stun me if he came back. It shouldn't, right? It really should not. But I don't know. He seems at peace. He seems pretty okay with it.
Pretty good way to go out. But yeah,
and it is a great. I think that's one of those things that, like, hopefully the people around him, like, if he's thinking of doing it, they'll at least remind him and make that part of his thinking process. Like, listen, you're not gonna top what you just did to go out. That's as good as it gets. You knocked a guy out in 38 seconds. You suffered no more damage. You looked amazing. You got a brilliant highlight to end it. You're not going to be the champion again. Why don't you just walk off? Unless he's got like $1 million, $2 million coming his way.
Big, yeah.
But that's a different thing. You want to make a lot of money. Fine. That makes more sense, right? Here's my pick. Martin Kampmann.
That would have been fun.
That would have been fun. I think it would have, because we got the technician. We got, not that Robbie isn't capable of, some solid technique and stuff, but he is let's say a little more of a bruiser in the sense that he's got that nasty power. And I think the chess match there would be a lot of fun. Plus, how many times have we seen Martin Kampmann in these wild fights too?
Yeah, they're both fight of the night guys.
Yeah, like as much as Martin Kampmann has really terrific technique, he was absolutely in fun fights. So I think, and that was not a stutter, that was a double fun for emphasis. That's emphasis. Tip of my tongue. So yeah, Martin Kampmann. That's my one unrequited Robbie Lawler fight that I think would have been fun. But they didn't really overlap in the UFC in the same way. Like Robbie, I think came back like around the time that Martin was kind of on his way out of the sport. It's not quite, but it was close to that time. So it just didn't happen. Ships in the night.
Yeah, he called it quits early.
He did. He could have kept going. I think he was probably okay. He would have been top 10 when he walked away. Like he was not done. He probably just said, I'm good. Unless there was something that I don't know about that was causing him to retire that I'm not aware of, maybe. Hopefully not. I hope he's doing well. That's all I really want to say.
All right.
But yeah, so I think that's all we had for our kind of starter plate, right? We've got some stuff to get to. We have fewer rounds to get to, even though I think a lot of people are tuning in to listen.
Yeah, I hope so.
This
is the interesting stuff.
I think so. We always see a boost when there's not just these type of fights where split decisions that get everybody talking, especially get everybody complaining, but also when they're on the main card or in the main event or a championship fight on a pay-per-view. All this stuff kind of adds up, especially to some of our bigger episodes. We'll try to rise to the occasion for you, dear listener. One more thing before we get to the contested rounds, of which there are 3, the unanimity report. Because there were 3, that means the other 17 out of 20 were unanimous. The judges were on the same page in scoring exactly the same way 85% of the time. No 9-8 splits, pure winners each time. It's a good percentage. 85 is a good percent. Now let's get to the rounds.
Let's do it.
It's we've got to lead with the title fight. This is kind of where you go. Whenever there's a title fight that's got people talking, that kind of has to start it off, right? So let's go to Pantoja against Moreno. Split decision. 2 48-47s and a 49-46 the other way for Moreno. Those 2 majority scorecards came from Derek Cleary and Genichiro Kamijo, who saw all 5 rounds the same. It was Ben Cartledge, former guest of our show, who was split off in rounds 3 and 5. A lot of people up in arms about that. We've got to get to it. Let's talk about round 3.
Starts out, a quick low blow. They pause.
Yeah. Like any good round.
All right. 10 seconds in, Moreno just put it on Pantoja. He's like, don't worry about it. Let's just keep fighting.
Sure.
Keep fighting. Moreno lands 2 solid elbows after they start up again, splitting Pantoja open. But Pantoja gets it to the ground, takes the back, locks in the body triangle. Moreno just keeps scrambling. And he's able to get low enough where he really wasn't in much danger of a rear naked. Because he got the body triangle was kind of around the rib cage. As he kept moving, somehow kept getting lower and lower. And he's able to get on top and land some punches. He stands up. On the feet, I definitely think Moreno's winning. It's a great fight. Both guys letting it go. But Pantoja's definitely behind. Later in the round, Pantoja gets a takedown. Moreno reverses it quickly, but he eats this up kick. And Moreno kind of slowly goes to the ground. Like, it was kind of weird. Weird reaction.
I think it was in a reaction that seemed to indicate that, hey, maybe that didn't feel great.
Oh, let me get down here. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I read that.
Ate a couple follow-up elbows, but Moreno started returning fire with some ground and pound left hands. I think it's such a very close round, but I think Moreno was more effective ultimately. Barely. 10-9 Moreno.
So, there's a lot. Obviously, we talk about split rounds, all the time. I don't know how many we've talked about. Hundreds and hundreds, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of them, I feel like it's just kind of it was close, could have gone either way. And that's really just because there was kind of one element that maybe a punch here or there, it goes, right? This is a round that, you just described a whole lot of things happening, Yeah. And I think this is one of those rounds where you can actually build kind of a separate and compelling case for each man. It's not really I thought he landed a little better. Oh, I thought he did. There, you could sit there and have a high school type debate and say, well, this person did this and this and this, and say, well, I think he did this, this, and this. And you could sit there and make a real fascinating case, I think, a very deep one.
Yeah.
For each guy. That's how I felt at the time. I summarized it in a more brief, tweet-sized way, live scoring this, right? And I did give it to Pantoja. And I also said, good luck, judges, because I felt this was one of those ones that was dang, this isn't going to be easy. So like I said, I gave it to Pantoja, but good golly, how can you sit there and not understand, like, there is another way to look at this? So I hope nobody is too up in arms about this one. I feel like I have seen people saying, I don't see how you can get 3 rounds for Moreno. And I think anyone who believes that is just nuts. You're not grounded in reality if you can't see how you can get at least 3 rounds, 2, 3, and 4, especially, I would say. Because I think round 2 is not controversial.
Not at all.
Not even a little bit. Everybody knew that was a Moreno round. Everybody, the judges, the people at home, everything's honky-dory right there. Round 4, I should note, I had that one for Pantoja, but all the judges had it for Moreno, and I'm not the least bit surprised. I thought it was a close round. I don't know how you saw it at the time.
I think I had it 48-47 Pantoja as my final.
Then you must have had 1, 4, and 5 for Pantoja.
Yeah, 1, 4,
that had
5.
to be it.
Yeah.
Just because I have a feeling where you went with everywhere else, but yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I can totally get there. I think if you can't see it that way, you're willfully not trying to acknowledge that there's another path here.
Right, but then you're gonna have the people that are like, well, if you can go either way, you might as well just make it a 10-10. But then it's like,
that's not what it is.
It's not a 10-10 because there is so much offense in this round. It'd be so unfair to be like, you know what, you guys put all that effort in, 10-10. It's a tie.
Think of it like this.
We can't pick a winner.
This just popped in my head. Imagine you're at a restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want 2 things, but you're only going to get one. You can't just say, gosh, can I just get a little of both? There, like, give me a half plate of each. I want to be tied here. It's like, no, you can like both. You can see the benefits of both. You still have to pick one, and it's not just about, flipping a coin when it comes to a fight. You actually have to have an opinion, and you have to be able to back it up. And the judges do that. They do have to justify themselves later on to the commission. This isn't something where we don't see it, and I don't like that we have no, broad access to this kind of thing as people. Even from the commission, to like get this kind of thing later and say, like, listen, can you tell us one of the reasons why, like, they were saying this could be this round, right? It would be nice if that was something that could be made public or like whatever. But I don't think we need to get to the point where judges are submitting long form written essays to the commission that needs to be able to put out there, right? Or themselves having to justify it that way. If they want to, that should be okay too, but
just be, if you want to, you should be able to.
But I do think it would be a good thing if the commissions, especially because the commissions deny the judges and the officials the right to talk about this stuff. They deny it. And technically, you're not denied from it, but you understand implicitly that if you do that, you will lose out on opportunities potentially for good. So don't freaking do it. That's kind of what I understand from the situation. It is one of those deals. Like,
just stupid. Like, what are you hiding?
Mm-hmm. So if the commissions are stopping them from talking, and I think I went in this rant a few weeks ago too, but if the commissions are stopping people from talking, if they're stopping officials from talking, you have to make up for it as the commission. You're saying, okay, they're not responsive. They don't want to talk about it. You're the organization. You still have to justify yourselves. You're a state-run organization. Put that out there.
They should have like a press secretary, like the White House.
I mean, there are a lot of...
comes out and gives a daily report every event.
I mean, there's a lot of people who work in PR for state governments. So there's no reason we couldn't find a way to get somebody hired to the Nevada staff, especially with all the money that Nevada is making off of UFC events, and they make good money off of it. So I would like to see that. And I think that would take a lot of the pressure off of the actual judges themselves, because at least the commission has to answer for it.
Yeah. I mean, they're never going to do it, but
no, they're not going to do it. Yeah. But anyway, this is obviously the factor with this round is like, yes, Ben Carter's just split off in this one. And I didn't score it that way, but holy heck, could I absolutely 100% see how you get a Moreno round? Is it the way he said it? I don't know. But I see it. I totally got it in the moments after the round. I knew it was a really close fight, and that it was a close 5-minute period, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I knew we were going to be talking about it on this show. I absolutely knew it.
Super close, super fine to go either way.
Absolutely. Let's go to round 5. This is the one that I think people found as much more galling, I should say, in reactions to that kind of thing. They were appalled by the 49-46. In particular, because of this round. So let's go into this round.
Yeah, I mean, the first 40 seconds of this round, they kind of just stare at each other, and I can't blame them.
They started a few rounds this way. Round 1 especially.
It's been a wild pace so far.
Yeah.
Then they start fighting. Both guys were landing good shots. I think Moreno was a bit more effective. His left hand especially was landing pretty good, moving Pantoja around. But Pantoja wasn't far behind at all. He was in it. He gets a takedown, and
there's about 2 minutes left here. I
think. ends up locking up body triangle standing with about 1:45 left and just starts punching a few strikes here and there.
Took a bit too.
Locked in.
DC even was commented on the fact that like, oh, he's not doing anything, and then it's like now he's starting to punch.
He started to throw some punches. He locked in a face crank. I mean, that's not going to finish Brandon Moreno, but
it could.
It's
something. Depends how good the crank is.
Throws a few more strike. This back sequence really was the difference for me.
Yeah.
I guess Cartilage maybe thought Moreno had a bigger edge in the stand-up. I just didn't see it that way. So I'm 10-9 Pantoja.
We're obviously guessing here.
Right, yeah.
But I would say if I was to make a suggestion for why I think perchance Ben Cartilage scored round 5 for Moreno here, I think it's probably a devaluing of what occurred during that standing body triangle sequence, which was the duration of the fight from 2 minutes left. It was really all that. And I can understand it because like I said, yes, a face crank could finish him, but I don't think the one that we saw was going to get him there. I don't think that was in a close position. Or how big are the punches being landed? I don't know. We're not there, obviously. They didn't look that big. I'm coming up with reasons that I can see, hey, maybe this is why, right? Having said that, I thought that Pantoja was not nearly far enough behind Moreno in the stand-up for the first 3 minutes that having the body triangle should score. I mean, a body triangle it can be a damaging position too. It can be a sapping position,
I mean, if we're being honest, it's just 2 hooks should be enough. But the body triangle makes it better.
Especially, yeah, because it's a different thing, right? So I think for me, I felt very good tipping it over to Pantoja here because I didn't think it was that far ahead on the feet. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I do think I feel very good about this one. I think to me, sitting in my chair at home, who have now watched this round twice, I think this to me is a clear enough round for Pantoja. But again, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to say, hey, let me see it through Judge Cartilage's eyes potentially, right? Can't speak for him, but let me look through it that way. And that's what I see as a potential reason. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, he's cage side. He knows what he's feeling. He feels they're bigger. That's how he's going to see it.
So I don't think so. Ultimately, yeah, I don't think for me sitting at home, which again this is key. There's a key distinction here. I don't think it's a great score, but I can see the justification too. That's the real thing. So, like, how bad a score is it? I don't think it's that bad a score.
Also, in the grand scheme of things, Brandon Moreno won in his card anyway.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing, too. We're talking about round 5 that truly, if he scored it the other way, it doesn't change who won on his card, and it doesn't change the winner of the fight. So, yes, if you want to sit there and say, okay, you're supposed to get every single round right. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. You want to hold them to the highest standard, that's fine. The judges do, too. They want to get it right. I don't know if Judge Cartilage thought he got it wrong here or not. I have no idea. I'm sure he feels fine with it because I think a lot of judges feel like they understand what it is watching cage side, and we do not. And I think this is just not that much of a blowout round. It's just not, It's really not. Put it this way, if Moreno had to fight off a real solid rear naked choke attempt, right? A real solid submission attempt of any kind, other than kind of that oh, he's looking for a neck crank or a face crank that didn't really present itself, right? It just didn't happen. If it was something more real, I would bet and I'm not just going to say an experienced judge. I'm going to say it loud and clear, and it's something I already said on social media. Ben Cartilage is the best MMA judge in the world. That's my opinion. I don't agree with him here, but he's still the best judge in the world. I don't care what happened. He's still the best. The body of work speaks for itself. We've had him on the show. We've heard him talk about judging. So we've been very privileged to get that insight. This sounds like someone who understands the gig way better than all the people sitting there who can't fathom why, right? And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But that's how I see it, and I feel confident in it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I disagree with him as well, but you could maybe get there. He did get there.
Well, he got there, sure. That's why we're talking about it, sir.
If I thought it was close on the feet, I did think Moreno had an edge. I'm guessing maybe cage side he had a bigger edge, and this back sequence didn't change things. It changed it for me. That's it.
Yeah, I have a feeling, at least if this is me, if I'm in his shoes, I'm looking at it as a philosophical, how much do I actually weigh the grappling? That's what this round seems to come down to for me, is how much do you actually weigh it? Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I see it. So, and that's why in that context I can't actually get it. I don't know. I don't have much more to say other than, at least I will say, I think there were enough people out there who weren't just immediate, and certainly were some, but there were enough people out there, especially people like Luke Thomas, who at least acknowledge that, hey, this is a judge who has a good track record, right? Like, I don't know what he was thinking here, but there's a good track record here that we can at least say, like, look, this isn't like every week we're complaining about Sal D'Amato. No, which is wrong, by the way. First off, everybody gets it wrong. Save for that one, like I said, that one a few weeks ago, you know, that's the first time. But like, this isn't one of the quote unquote usual suspects that everyone's always complaining about. It'll stick in people's heads, but he's a great judge. He'll be fine. He's not going anywhere, realistically, because he's a great judge. It
was funny on the broadcast because they throughout the whole fight, they're like, I don't know how you scored this.
Oh
fight.
God, yes.
I don't know how you scored it. And then after they read the score, that's a terrible scorecard.
Mm-hmm.
Are you like, what? It happens with every single person.
The amount of short-term memory. It's like 10-second Tom from 50 First Dates, man.
Oh, hi,
I knew
Tom.
you'd get that one. Hi, I'm Tom. Yeah, that is absolutely, unfortunately, let's say the color commentators that typically work the pay-per-views. I don't think John Anik typically falls into that pitfall. He keeps a level head. He kind of tries to balance it out, I think. He'll share his feelings on a Monday on his own show, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think he knows to compartmentalize that kind of thing, which is like, that's fine. You can have your own opinion. I think John is wise to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we've probably exhausted this one. Look, you're going to sit there and maybe you think, okay, I guess that makes sense, Scott. Or like, no, Scott, stop bending over backwards for him. Whatever. You can think what you want. But I put in the work on this. I try to understand this, and I wish some people would too.
Are you gonna freak out if it was read 48-47 Marino?
I know. It's like, what's the difference? There are some people who can't see that either, but you know, again, that is truly a them problem.
Yeah.
So there is one more fight we're gonna talk about. Usually we have like 5-6 rounds to talk about. We only got 3 this time, but at least 2 of them were kind of doozies, and this might be the dooziest of all. Dan Hooker got the win over Jalin Turner, and again, what we're saying is potentially the 3-round fight of the year. Just 2 fights before the potential 5-round fight of the year. But it's a split decision, 29-28 all around. Round 3 is our split. Hooker took the second after Jalin Turner took the first. Let's talk about this round 3.
Yeah. All right. Early, Turner was actually doing well. After that, you know, the way round 2 ended was pretty bad for him.
I mean, it still took him just a little bit to shake the cobwebs out, too.
Yeah, I think Hooker whacked him once, backed him to the cage, but then he just he started landing good teeps to the body, good straights to the head.
He kind of fought his way in.
Yeah, Hooker was returning and landing some decent ones on his own, but up to this point, I think it's Turner winning. Until Hooker hurts Turner and drops him, gets on top, landing some ground and pound. I think it's pretty clear for Hooker. Turner, he's kind of landing some elbows from the bottom, but, you know, it's not outweighing what Hooker's doing from the top. I think we got to add this one to the list. This is a 10-9 Hooker round.
I actually would go a step further and say that I don't think Turner was necessarily up before he was knocked down. I think Hooker was doing just fine. That's how I read that.
Okay.
I think he was landing the more impactful strikes as they were coming.
Okay.
Obviously great fight, competitive fight still, but I thought even at that, Hooker was ahead. Maybe not in a way that I would have been like, well, he's got to be winning this round. It could still be competitive. It can be close, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, that knockdown, followed by all the sequence that ensued with him, you know, being in control, landing, all this stuff, and building up his side of the card. And Jalin Turner really not doing anything else the rest of the round to remotely take it back.
Yeah, I mean, he is landing elbows from the bottom. Like
that's
I said,
just that's not enough.
That's not outweighing what Hooker's doing.
It's not going to. Like, you can, obviously, we've seen, and I think you and I are even probably proponents of the idea that, yes, you can actually score from the bottom, but, like, they also have to be shots that are outdoing what your opponent on top is, and that's not what's happening here, I don't think. And nothing compares to the fact that even if, let's just say, for argument's sake, the bottom stuff is even, right? And then let's just say, like you're saying, that Turner is, you know, maybe, what would you say? Is he slightly ahead before the
I thought he was
slightly ahead, right? I mean, it's probably even, that's not where I go, but I can give you that, right? That knockdown is big. That's an immediately impactful strike. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely the type of thing that has to weigh heavily when you're scoring around here. So I very much push back on the idea that this could be a turnaround. I think we absolutely have to land it on the list. Am I crazy in thinking this might be one of the more obvious fights that was a contested round, a round that was a contested round? Is this one of the more obvious ones that didn't go that way, or am I going too far here?
It's. I knew we were gonna have a round from this fight.
I mean, that makes sense.
I totally did not expect it to be this one.
Yeah, I think that's what surprised a lot of people. When the card came out, people were surprised that it was a split decision. And then when the card came out and they were like, it's round 3? And obviously people can react, as we've already went into ad nauseum, and we've talked about before. But even I'm like, round 3, really? This is the one.
That is really the one, because
this is just a bad score to me. I think it is, and I don't think this comes down to, hey, were you there for this kind of? I mean, does the judge in question who gave it to Turner, and that being Adelaide Bird, who is also one of those lightning rod judges, right? Does she see the strike that knocks Jalin Turner down? Because if she doesn't see it, she can't score it. And, that doesn't mean she was looking away or looking at her phone like a bunch of the, let's say the more crass and flip people, right?
Mm-hmm.
More flippant. Here's your SAT word for the day. Flippant.
Flipping people off?
No. Flippant.
Oh.
Yeah. But they would obviously say, oh, looking away, doing other stuff. You can miss it for a lot of reasons. Ref can get in the way. Post can get in the way. A lot of stuff. Maybe you just had the fighter in the way and you couldn't see, hey, how it landed. But
yeah, maybe one of the photographers that don't give them any personal space whatsoever got in their way.
It's entirely possible. Having said that, I don't know.
Photographers should be banned from the judges' panels. Go shoot somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And I work in media. But yeah, I was not happy to see this scorecard. I think this was a bad score. Again, I can see how these things type of happen, but man, this is a rough one. And it's unfortunate the name attached to it because Judge Bird gets a lot of heat. Some of it I don't think is deserved. I think she's actually a better MMA judge than a lot of people realize. Still probably more judges I would prefer to put in the chair than her, but there's a few that I would certainly prefer her to, right? It's not a good score. This absolutely goes to the list. This is gonna be one of those ones we really I think. But look, everyone who's calling for the head of Judge Bird every time something like this happens, it's not as bad as you think. I actually really do think it is what it is with her, right? The other judges, I should say, the ones who saw it our way for a 10-9 Hooker were judges Derek Clear and Mon McCarthy. We obviously agreed with them. Do you want to talk about real quick round 2? Just because that was the one that a lot of people did actually think was going to be split.
Throughout this whole fight, I want to say round 1, I think the judges nailed it. That's a Turner round, even though it's close.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely the right score is Turner. And round 2, that other people had the other way for Turner, I think they nailed this. I think you absolutely have to give this round to Dan Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
And Adelaide Bird nailed that. So you got to praise there.
I think that's fair too. Not a lot of people want to sit there and praise the judges because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? But also sometimes they just get it right, and it's not that easy. It's okay to do that, especially on our show. We can do that.
Yeah, you guys never get mad at the weatherman.
Oh no, everyone gets mad at the weatherman. What are you talking about? I mean, not the man who does it, but the idea of the weatherman.
I never get mad at it.
No. I mean, I don't get mad at the weatherman because I don't look at the weather. I just kind of walk out and I'm like, oh, I guess it's raining today.
That's exactly. I was talking about this yesterday. Anyway,
I need my wife to tell me the weather.
Like she looks. I don't know the weather until I walk out the door.
Yeah. Or look out the window.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this round's a great example of the more effective fighter winning the round.
Sure.
Turner landed big shots, and I do think there can be an argument made for it. I think it's a small case. He landed good at distance, but Hooker's never really that hurt. He's getting kind of tagged, picked apart a bit. Turner lands that big head kick followed up by elbows, but Hooker continues to return fire. He's not wobbled. It just seems like we're on a clear, round for Turner here.
Who got the needle farther over is right, kind of where you'd lean, right?
Yeah, so
farther to the end of the breaking point.
Right, so Turner clearly winning up until this point. And then Hooker starts unloading, and he does wobble Turner. Turner is visibly hurt. He continues to smash him in the face. Then Turner loses balance trying to throw a knee. Hooker has him in a game-over rear naked choke. He just ran out of time. This was like a picture-perfect rear naked choke, perfect technique. I'm going to pop your head off. That choke was so tight, perfectly locked in, super effective grappling, and that pushes it in his favor, and I think that's why you absolutely have to score this round for Dan Hooker.
Sure.
And the judges did.
Yeah, good job on that. Absolutely. And again, overall, 17 out of 20. It's a good percentage. We're talking about a couple rounds that we didn't see that way, but that's a good percentage. You like to see that. Mm-hmm. They're getting it right more often than not. Average is about 71%, by the way. So 85 is distinctly better. Law of averages, you're going to get some, 58%, that kind of thing. These things happen in MMA.
Yeah, we haven't had a 0%, so that's good.
No, we haven't. I can't remember a time where we were sub 50. If it was
not even Australia.
No, well, not this time, but it would.
We got Sydney coming in 2 months.
I'm saying, if it's going to be somewhere, it's probably Australia. Goodness. Oh, Sydney, that's right. Oh, man. Yeah, that'll be. Oy, oy, oy. Anyway, that was it for the contested rounds. We do have one round for our 10-7 watch, which, as some of you know, regular listeners, this is where we look at rounds that were unanimous 10-8s to say, hey, is this a 10-7? And we do have one of those. Just one. Tatsuro Taira got the win over Edgar Chairez. Unanimous decision, 29-27 across the board. Round 2 is our unanimous 10-8. Judges here are, again, Judge Bird, Judge Cartledge, and Judge Cleary. They're all over this show. I mean, again, not many people, but this is they're kind of our stars here, I guess, right? Because Cleary was actually on the, I believe, all 3 of the other rounds in the majority, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, all 12 rounds he scored was in the majority.
That's a good percentage there. The question I would have for you, because we don't have to dive deep into this, but is this a 10-7?
No. Very good round, dominant on the ground, good duration. Just there's no overwhelming amount of damage there.
Not even close.
So
not even a little bit. Like the level of danger that Chairez was placed in. Honestly, I'm almost surprised they gave this a 10-8, just the way they've been doing things. But I like it. I like it as an 8.
Yeah, I'm glad it's an 8.
Yeah. So great job. Not a 7. Not even close.
No.
This is where it's supposed to be. And that is it for the rounds. Talk about the finishes here. We had 9 of them, guys. 7 KOs or TKOs, 2 submissions. 5 of these ended in the first round. 5. 4 of them ended in 40 seconds or less. 38. What was your favorite finish?
Oh, no surprise here. Bo Nickel destroying a very dangerous Val Woodburn. And he should be on his way to Sydney to fight Izzy, but he just isn't.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, didn't even have to use his wrestling at all. Even ate a big right before he knocked him out. Good on, Bo. You
know how long that took, by the way?
That took 38 seconds.
38 seconds.
Oh.
My favorite was, of course, Robbie Lawler. Extracted just one more soul on his way out the door. Nico Price got the feel-good, premeditated retirement victory. Sometimes people retire off a win, like Amanda Nunes did last month, right? But we didn't know that this was going to be her final fight. Technically, that was premeditated. She knew. But, man, to have all the build-up, to have all the, thanks for all the years. They showed, all these... He was inducted for the fight wing into the Hall of Fame with that fight that we both said was our favorite against Rory McDonald. So he had to accept an award like 12 hours before weigh-in, when most of these guys are like sitting in a sauna or like dehydrating themselves. He's up there making a speech. It's like, good golly, this is wild. And that only took 38 seconds too.
Impressive that we put both of those.
Yeah. Everything should end in 38 seconds, especially a heavyweight fight.
Oh, yeah.
That would be really... Man, imagine if we set the limit on heavyweight fights to 38 seconds and they had to just run in and like go berserk for 38 seconds.
Be incredible.
That would be something. It's like the equivalent of like the phone booth. Have you seen the phone booth fights?
No.
Oh, I haven't. There's a promotion that does like a lot of weird ones. If you follow Caposa, you're gonna see stuff like this, right? Because they'll share around all sorts of stuff. And I definitely saw one like a couple years ago, and it's just like 2 people in a phone booth, literal phone booth, just like fighting.
All right.
It's just so stupid, but like in a great way. Oh, it was good comedy. Yeah, that's it for the finishes. And I think that's it for UFC 290. We can move on from it. By the way, I think a lot of people are saying this is the card of the year. Yep. Probably locked it up. Great card. I think the hyperbole that it could be the best card since like UFC 189 or something is just absurd. That was the one that Robbie and Rory fought on. I don't think it's quite that level.
Well, your algorithm thing will figure it out.
Well, that's different though. So that's only talking about the quality of like the ranking of the fighters.
Oh,
so it's very different than the results of the fights. It's more like how did it look coming in?
Okay,
But again, that's only based on ranking. So like Bo Nickel would not be rated very high because it's all his level of intrigue is about hype and not previous accomplishment in this sport.
Previous accomplishment
in this sport.
Man, it was 4-0 coming into this. 4 finishes.
You're right. Everyone who's 4-0 should be thought of as a goat.
Come on.
Every single fighter on earth who's 4-0, they're goats.
4 finishes in the UFC? Yeah.
They've won 4 more fights than me. I'll give them that. But no.
All right.
Anyway.
It's raining out, Scott.
It is raining.
I can hear it.
I can't wait to walk out in that when we're done recording here. But yeah, so UFC Vegas 77, we have this big card, and we're going to come down next week with a total letdown.
On paper. I do think somebody...
I like some fights here. I actually do.
I don't have any fights in particular that I like,
mm-hmm.
but I do think that we're going to get some solid matchups that are going to end up being pretty interesting.
But the problem is that this just isn't a card that anyone's sitting there being like, oh, at least we get this after this. Well, this is a nice one. It's just like, oh, it's a just some fights week, isn't it?
It's just
some fights, yeah. To borrow that is from the co-main event podcast. I have to credit that there. But anyway, we've got Holly Holm, kind of the go-to person for main eventing UFC that no one really seems to love watching fight. And she's a fantastic fighter. It's just for whatever reason she just doesn't have a whole lot of fans. I don't know what it is. She's got more detractors that are vocal than fans that are open about it. Anyway, she's fighting against Mayra Bueno Silva at 135 here. I mean, I think it's a neat fight. I think it makes sense. Bueno Silva has earned a fight against the level of fighter of Holly Holm. I think that's great. I think Holly Holm still has a lot to do in this sport. Now everything's wide open without Amanda Nunes. You even had Miesha Tate the other day saying, like, none of us were going to beat her, so she feels like she can win now, too. She literally said that. None of us were going to beat her. It was like, I couldn't believe that, but, like, in a great way. I was like, you know what? Respect Miesha. She understood where things were. And kudos to her for saying that, because she could have easily just been like, oh, I think we could have beat her if I got my second chance. Like, she knew. She was in there. She understood. There was a different level there. So, do you like this fight at all?
Pretty sure we're gonna talk about it.
I think we're gonna talk about it. I think we're gonna get a lot of cage clinching.
I'm hoping that the reason we're talking about it is because Bueno Silva locks up a sub.
Okay.
And I picked that as my favorite.
I know where your rooting interest is.
That's what I'm kind of hoping for, because Holly's just, when she wins, it's a decision.
Yeah.
It's just, unless it's Ronda Rousey, she kicks her head off. Like,
yeah.
That's it. I think that's her last finish. Actually,
no, I don't believe so.
I think so.
She's
been finished since then, but I think
she has.
I don't think she's finished anybody's. Oh, she finished Betch Correia.
Yeah.
Okay, that was her last finish.
Is that one you just remembered?
I did. No, I just looked it up.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Betch Correia was her last finish in 2017.
Interesting. Okay, that's longer ago than I thought. I thought she.
Unless she's getting finished by Amanda Nunes.
She didn't finish anybody there. Yeah. No, you're right.
So.
Yeah, but she hasn't fought a ton either. She's fought enough.
Like that was 8 fights since then.
But that was 7 years ago.
7 fights.
6 years ago. And you said we can't even count that anymore if it's been 5 years.
No. I said in the terms of a rivalry, you can just, that's like preseason. Throw it out.
Okay. All right. I mean, she did take a year and a half off from October 2020 to May 22.
And she lost.
Well, it
was a split, and then people were upset about that.
Oh yeah, I was in Ocean City, Maryland for that one, and everyone freaked out. I'm like, good God, am I gonna sit on my phone while I'm like enjoying the bachelor party I'm at? And sure enough, well, a lot of it was winding down, so it wasn't an issue. But anyway, over back to the rest of Vegas 77, which of course we're not talking about everything, but we got the Vegas judges again, Nevada judges. I think the quality of judging is gonna be still stupendous, and I would feel just great if Ben Cartledge was on this card again. I hope he's not, because, I mean, I imagine he's going to fly back to England and then come back. Like, that's, who wants to do that? Who wants to spend that much time on a plane?
No, you just let him stay in Vegas. Enjoy the week. Go to the pool.
I don't know, most of these guys have jobs.
World Series of Poker's on.
Yeah, most of these guys have jobs.
Go hang out and play poker.
Who is a full-time judge? There's really not that many.
Well, they should be.
There's not that many. I mean, maybe someone like Sal D'Amato gets enough work, because he works, like, all the events. So for all I know, he doesn't need a day job. But yeah, I think everybody else, I imagine, still has a secondary income.
I would try to get a remote job if I was a judge.
Yeah. Okay.
That'd be pretty cool.
Like what? What would you do? What's a remote job that would like supplement your income?
Like a web developer or something.
All right. Well, you need those skills.
You can do that anywhere.
Yeah, but you need to get those skills first.
Well, yeah. Well, you have them. I'm saying.
Yeah, but like, do you have that?
I'm working on getting them.
You are.
Yeah, I know more than the average Joe.
Okay, I believe it.
So
yeah, so like you said, you're not really looking forward to any one particular fight.
couchsidejudges.com coming soon.
There you go. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a nice day. There's a few fights that I do want to see. Terrence McKinney against Nazim Sadikov, 155 pounds. I'm always interested in Terrence McKinney's progress. It hasn't been super smooth, but I think there's still a lot of potential in this guy.
After that last fight, is it too soon or no?
What was his last fight? I can't remember.
It was Ishmael Bonfim flying knee to
the but when was that?
That was in January.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
I know. I mean, I'm no head doctor. I don't know.
Well,
is 6 months enough to recover from such a vicious knockout?
Sir, the commission cleared him. You can imagine that the commission is only looking.
The commission also cleared. I forget his name. He's going to fight Jim Miller after the head knockout with Bobby Green. Jared Gordon.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that was.
And then they found out, no, never mind. We not going to happen.
That was ugly. And proves what my point really was. Yeah. But anyway, that's one. Tyson Nam, I'm always interested in too, because Tyson Nam, he's gonna knock someone out or he's gonna lose. Like, he doesn't really have a whole lot of modes otherwise. He's kind of one of those guys that, like, sometimes he's gonna land it and you're out, but like some days it just doesn't happen for him. He's not gonna win. But he's been doing this a very long time. At 35, at 25, he's here at 25 against Azat Maxim,
undefeated.
Yeah, I'm inclined to think Maxim wins, but I don't know. Again, you can never count out Tyson Nam. For that exact reason. That's why I like seeing him fight. And then I'm going to make an interesting choice here, especially for people who listen, and even for you. Walt Harris, coming back off of a 2-year layoff against Josh Parisian. The reason that I highlight this in particular is because, number one, I interviewed him last week.
Okay.
Great conversation, fascinating guy. He's got a lot of things going on. Was training with John Jones in the last couple months. He had taken 2 years away from fighting entirely because, in his words, he came back too soon after his stepdaughter Nia Blanchard was murdered. So I think he needed to get his mind right, get his mind clear. But he seems much more ready to go than maybe like just going through the motions. He seemed like, I got the hunger now. Okay. I got it back again.
Well, I hope he ends in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, that I also. So. I mean, good golly. But I'll say this: the one thing he pushed back on was the idea that people have of him having a bad gas tank, right? Which we thought we've seen, right, in his last few fights. And maybe, that's his opinion. That's what he's telling you, right? But like, he had great success against Alistair Overeem before he just completely faded in round 2. He's lost 3 fights in a row, all by first or second round stoppage. But he said that in each of those fights, he could tell you the moment, like, mentally, he just like wasn't there anymore. And I think, again, he's associating that with kind of some of the issues about just not being right and coming back too quickly from the personal tragedy that he suffered.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, I'm not going to tell him he's wrong. He suffered something that me as a parent hopes to never, ever experience. So, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to that fight. I have nothing against Josh Parisian, but I'm very intrigued to see what Walt Harris does.
All right.
That's how I would put that one. By the way, he played college basketball.
Really?
Yeah.
Position?
Guard. He was like a slasher.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, he had to be a guard because he's not that tall.
No, he's 6'5".
But he's the size of a power forward and a center.
Now he is. He said well, actually, he didn't say. I found a page that listed him at 212 in college.
That's pretty big.
He was a guard.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
That's Michael Jordan size, basically. Jordan was 6'6", 216 when he came back, right? That's a big person, but also like a pretty normal sized guard. He said he gained a lot of weight. He was kind of depressed after college ended and didn't really know what to do. He gained a lot of weight, and then, as he kind of lost some weight, he turned a lot of the fat into muscle.
Oh, okay.
So that's how that happened. But anyway, you should look for that interview too. Yeah. I like to plug my stuff when I can. Here's the one thing too that you need to know about, sir. Jack Della Maddalena. He's looking for a fight. Mm-hmm. He's not leaving Vegas. He's hoping to get a fight this week. So
that's a man
that might be something that really like gets you into this one.
Stay in Vegas. Enjoy your time there. Go to the pool.
Well, he's probably not going to be enjoying his time and going to the pool. He's probably going to need to stay on weight for a week.
That's fine.
Hopefully he fights at 85. That would be better.
It's like 110 in Vegas right now.
Sir, what if he fights at 175?
Fight wherever you want to fight.
He won't. Don't make him fight at 180. They won't do 75.
If JDM can make it, I'll be very happy to see that. Also, we had Luque and RDA on this card. They got moved to August, though.
Yeah, I think they used the other filler cards as like, well, if we need to, we can just move it because no one gives a crap about this anyway. They already know we're kind of just filling programming here. We'll just throw some bodies in. If we need to pull it, we'll take another one and throw some Contender Series guys and gals up there. It's fine. They're cheap.
All right. Hit me with the fight that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, well, I think you actually nailed it by saying Holly Holm and Myra Bueno Silva is almost definitely going to get it. But I would say of the fights we didn't mention, we're most likely to be talking about Victoria Dudakova against Estela Nunes at 115 pounds because by the data, you are most likely to get a split round from the strawweights. It's like a 1 in 4 shot. They're going to be split.
Okay.
Yeah. It goes all the way down to I believe it's lightweight is the lowest, and it's like 17% of the time. So it's like there's a distinct difference between lightweight and strawweight. And that's over the course of a 5-year period, 2018 through the end of June, actually, this year. So it's a long, long time and a lot of data pointing to this stuff.
Oh, look at that. We got another women's 45 fight.
Yeah.
I thought this division was dead.
You know what? It's funny. It's almost like they can't stop it from dying. But I think part of this, a lot of these fights were already in the works when Amanda Nunes said, "Nah, I'm done."
Oh, gotcha.
So like, they're not going to just be like, "All right, you're all gone."
Hit the bricks.
Yeah, I think they already let go of. Oh, I'm trying to think who it was. There was they let go of someone who wanted to fight at 45. I don't know, it was kind of like a personal, like it was like a mutual thing. Like she was granted her release, I think. So, but anyway, yeah, I imagine we're not going to see these people very much longer, unfortunately for them, because But also at the same time, there are a lot of opportunities.
They got
PFL
many
and Bellator.
options.
Yeah, they've still got choice there. In fact, they're probably better off because they can get at least some more push, and maybe even if you fight for Bellator, you might win $1 million.
And that does it for this episode. We'll be back again on Monday to break down this card and probably talk about Holly Holm and Mayra Bueno Silva.
That's a likely story. I mean, no matter what, we're going to be talking about it, but realistically, yeah, there's a good chance it's one of those rounds, right?
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Have a great week.